social media, technology, and TikTok. These are just a few things that invade our lives every day. I'm going to find out just how much of our time they really take up. Studies show that in 2015, the average user spent roughly 2 hours and 25 minutes per day using the social networks. Whereas now in 2020, due to the recent COVID pandemic, the average user spends over 3 hours per day on social media. Which, between you and me, they won't be able to see some lovely views like this. To put this to the test, I got my friends and family to take a survey so I could find out about their social media usages. So here we have a survey which 82 people took for me. Now over here we can see that 40% of the survey took 3 to 4 hours a day on social media, whereas only 27% said that they spend 1 to 2 hours a day. Now these statistics show that our audience that took the survey are in the same category as the 2020 study, spending over 3 hours. Now over here we have 2 more questions I wanted to ask. One being the main use of their social media, and the other one being what platform they use the most. Now from this first question, I wanted to know if they used it for leisure, for communication, or for research. Now from this we can see that 51% of them use it for leisure, while only 43% use it for communication. Now leisure being the big side of it, I wanted to also find out what platforms they used it for, which links on nicely. Now we can see that the majority of them, of the 25%, use it for Snapchat, whereas only 21% use it for Instagram. Now these 3 questions give me an insight onto the uses and the time that my audience spends on social media, and with the use of only 3% using it for research or work, makes me think that people don't really use it for anything productive. So I'm at my college now just to see if I can get a different kind of response by asking some of my friends the exact 3 questions, but in person. So on average, how many hours per day do you think you spend on some sort of social media?
I've never really thought about it like that. I do spend a lot of time on social media just for entertainment, so I'd say maybe on average, if you add all up, 2 hours a day, 2 hours and a bit a day.
Probably
about 10.
Christ. Between 10 and 15 hours a day, I would say.
When using social media, do you find you use it for leisure, communication, or research most?
I use it for leisure mostly, but contacting people is more of a secondary purpose.
Basically, sometimes all 3. Mostly just for leisure, for just to see what people are doing.
So a mixture between leisure and communication, mainly communication.
And finally, what social media platform do you think you use the most?
Instagram. That's yeah, I'd say Instagram.
Snapchat.
Definitely YouTube.
So from what we have seen, the average person spends 3 to 4 hours per day endlessly scrolling through social media, with the majority not using it for work or anything productive, and the combination of new apps and free time might not be long until social media has fully taken over our lives.